Since we learned about focus groups this whole semester, we thought what better way to explore focus groups in some upper semester than to do a focus group on focus groups. We used the same methodology with the moderator, the client, we had a videographer, and we had active participants in the group. With this, we just went over basically all the important things that we learned throughout the semester in order to show the methods we use in terms of the questioning route and in terms of how the atmosphere should be conducted.
All right, welcome everyone. We're gathered here today to see what you have learned in the course and how your direct experience with focus groups has contributed to your understanding of them. Our client Andrew here is interested in using this information to obtain basic understanding of focus groups as a research method, as well as whether it presents itself as a useful tool to contribute to his business. Alright, let's get right into it and start by getting to know each other. We'll go around and introduce ourselves, so everyone will state their name and their spirit dessert.
My name is Courtney and my spirit dessert is apple pie.
My name is Tyler and my spirit dessert is mint chocolate chip.
My name is Brooke and my spirit dessert is a brownie sundae.
My name is Davey and my spirit dessert is raspberry cheesecake.
My name's Kyle and my spirit dessert would be deep fried Mars bar.
My name is Coco and my spirit dessert is tiramisu.
I'm Stephanie and my spirit dessert is a chocolate chip cookie.
Alright, now let's start by diving into our main topic today, and we're going to do a little word association exercise on Words That Work from Frank Luntz. Alright, it seems that everyone's ready. Could someone volunteer and share a little bit about their word associations? Go ahead, Stephanie.
Thank you. So when I heard words that work, I thought about marketing. And then I thought about political campaigns and how it's what people hear, not exactly what you say. And that led me to creativity. That's what I have.
Thank you, Stephanie. Those were some great points. Does anyone else want to share?
Yeah, I will.
Courtney, please.
So similarly, I went to politics and marketing, stuff like that, but then I also branched off into possibilities of communication like body language and openness in general, which took me to gender roles and communication.
Super conservative, and it was really hard to take him seriously because like the language that he used like against liberals and stuff like that was really strongly put. So yeah.
Right. Now that we're fully set our minds into the topic, let's discuss about our experiences in the focus groups in terms of the roles you took in them. And let's begin with the moderators. Can all the moderators raise their hands, please? Alright, thank you. Could you guys share a little bit with the rest of the group about your experiences?
Yeah. So when I was a moderator, I noticed that people were, a little bit shy to talk, and there were a lot of silences. So I had to do a lot of probing and get participants comfortable in the focus group setting. So I did things like ask the thought processes behind certain ideas and stuff like that.
Yeah, on the other hand, however, there was someone who was oversharing, which on one hand was great because we got a lot of data on our first focus group and was very excited about the project, and that's the other side of the...
Thank you. Very much. Alright, let's move on to our participants now. Could all the participants raise their hands, please? Alright, thank you. Could you guys tell about your experiences as participants, some main points?
So I was in the keychain group, and it was interesting to see because they had a product and they already had a design already, and it was different than other ones. So I think it was interesting to see how they were going about giving their product to people and stuff like that. And they use things like word association and drawing pictures to get people to think about the product. And I thought I think comfortability was a big thing and it got people to share more and everything. So I think that was a big thing in the focus groups.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, I participated in the alcohol focus group, and my moderator, he was really good, so I felt really comfortable sharing. Although one thing that I thought they should maybe rework is their questioning route, because sometimes I wasn't quite sure what the purpose of the study was. It was a little bit unclear. At first, I thought we were going to be talking about buying alcohol in general, and then it kind of segued into just buying alcohol in liquor stores, so I kind of had to modify my responses that I had been previously thinking about beforehand.
I mean, I was part of the same group there, and I felt their theme, I thought it was unclear at first. I mean, at first I thought it was a cool topic because, we're all college kids, we're all here out having fun and stuff, but I felt like the theme of what they're trying to attack was unclear, and their purpose was not there, and I felt like their questions could have been a little bit more specific as well. So yeah.
Thank you. All right, finally, let's hear it from our note takers. So, could you guys share about your experiences a little bit?
Yeah, I was a note taker for the first focus group, and I ended up just taking notes on my laptop. And I found it somewhat difficult to actually keep up with all the responses. So I think possibly an audio recording or a sociogram might have been more helpful in that scenario.
Yeah, I was a note taker for the second focus group, and what was really helpful for me was having the audio recording. So I was able to take more notes and different notes, not just on what was being said, but also the faces that people were making and the body language that people had, which showed their interestedness and their disinterestedness in the questions, and it also showed their social desirability playing out in the focus group.
And in my experience, I learned that it's important to have a strategy going in as note takers, because clearly it's difficult to get everyone's responses and all data recorded. So I think dividing it up between note takers and arriving with a strategy is important.
Thank you for those insights. All right, for the final roll for today, we're gonna hear from our clients, Andrew and Olivia. Do you have any points to share about your experiences as clients in the focus group?
Yeah, I'm looking to open up a restaurant, and there was a focus group designed for me. And it was pretty interesting to hear the feedback and the questions asked, because originally going into it, I figured, people are choosing restaurants, they mainly focus on what kind of food, and obviously how clean it is, but I didn't realize how big of a role windows played, the scent, controlling the atmosphere. I mean, people even said what the people look like in your restaurant, so it's pretty interesting to see all the different thoughts that came from all the participants.
Yeah, we definitely got some insights that we weren't expecting. So definitely the windows and locations were something that a lot of participants were looking for when choosing a restaurant. And I think it was important for our focus groups that the moderators had a good understanding of the purpose of the research so that we could extract the, relevant data from the participants. So it's good.
Thank you very much. Okay, folks, we're about to wrap up here. So, does anyone have any additional comments or thoughts about our topic today?
I do.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, I think, it's funny you asked that, because I think a very important closing statement would be to talk about how important it is for the closing remarks. If the moderator does a good job and makes a comfortable atmosphere and everyone's willing to respond and participate, then I think at the end you'll get some pretty good suggestions of kind of the track people's minds were on and other ideas they might have, and if they're comfortable, they'll feel free to share, and I think you'll get pretty good results from that. Kind of gives them a room to give their final thoughts or ideas or questions about how the study was designed or how it works.
Alright, finally, do you guys think there's anything else that should have been covered for this session? Alright, thank you very much for your input today, and that's it. Have a nice day. Okay, folks, we're about to wrap up here. Does any... Okay, folks, we're about to. What is wrong?
I'm sorry, my fault.
I brought some other kind of stuff about the topic up to the table. Stop.
Does everyone want to put some stuff on my table?
That has to be deleted.
As learned throughout the semester and as shown in our focus groups that we conducted several times, as well as in the focus group of focus groups, the moderator is very important in creating a non-judgmental atmosphere and facilitating discussion. Furthermore, the self-disclosure of the moderator, the willingness of them to contribute and to offer personal engagement is very important to sway the rest of the participants to be more willing and open to any sorts of discussion as well. The clients their role is to sit there and observe the moderator and the participant relations, and we discussed in class that as a moderator should remain neutral in order to create a non-judgmental atmosphere. The client should intervene if there started to become questions and problems that were out of hand. Furthermore, public self versus private self is an issue that we struggle with focus groups. The public self of a person might sway their answers, whether it be a man wanting to appear more masculine, whether it be a woman wanting to appear more feminine, and other things of this sort. In order to combat for this, we can write about the gender of the person and make sure that we're recording notes of social interaction and social engagement. But other than that, the only thing else we can do is simply observe it and take notes accordingly.
Natural groups are groups that are comprised of people that might already know each other. Groups that have come to be naturally, like sports teams or college classes such as our own, focus groups, SOC1117. Unlike natural groups, constructed groups are groups that have been selected by researchers for a specific purpose, usually maybe random selections, but maybe by race too, to get insights about how a product might, if a product offends, certain races, something like that. Inherently, then constructed groups, participants never really know each other, have never met before, and therefore don't really care how each other thinks. They're never going to see each other again after, so they don't really care how each other thinks. So they're much more inclined to just speak freely, speak their opinion. But in natural groups, in which people might already know each other, they might know each other's sensitivities and therefore might hold back on certain comments that they know might offend the other person. So people are much more inclined to be more reserved and homogeneous in natural groups than they are in constructed groups. On my sports team, for example, on my soccer team, for example, which finally got a season 2 weeks ago. But anyway,
another thing to keep in mind when running a focus group, you need to think about the ethnicity and culture of the people in your group. So some people might not speak English. So for example, when you're asking them if they do speak English, you have to be sensitive and keep it on a scale of 1 to 10 how comfortable they are with speaking English. And in the Latina reading that we read about, there was people were more sensitive with not speaking English, so they wanted to make them feel comfortable, and they had a translator there to help them out, answering questions, reading questions, and things like that. Another thing to keep in mind is the food that you serve at the focus group. You want to keep it to their culture, make them feel comfortable so that they're more open to talk. If there's random food that's not pertaining to their culture, they might not be as comfortable. There are also subgroups in a culture, and you need to make sure that when you're talking to the subgroup, you're not confusing them with another subgroup or bring up another subgroup, because they sometimes have hard feelings toward the other subgroups and might get a little mad at you and not want to answer the questions because they feel offended that you're confusing them. So keep that in mind. But for our focus group, we didn't really have to worry about that. It wasn't really our focus in the group, so we didn't think about the other cultures and how to really pertain to them.